This content is for informational purposes only. Accuracy not guaranteed. Please verify independently. We are not liable for errors, omissions, or results of its use.
These Arkansas farmers are feeling the pressure, even more so than normal, at this town hall meeting in North Little Rock. Many of them say they support the Trump-balanced trade, but tariffs on nearly all major U.S. trading partners are hitting their bottom line.
There's no pretty way about it. If you want to call it a war or whatever, there's always blood spilt in a war, and it's economic blood in this circumstance. And we are on the front line as farmers.
America's soybean farmers are in a world of hurt. They're going to lose their farms and their livelihoods, and they did it to themselves. And now they are begging, pleading, oh, help us. We punished ourselves because we thought Donald Trump was only going to hurt the right people, not us. We thought Donald Trump was going to hurt women and black people and Latinos and immigrants and the homeless and LGBTQ. We never thought Donald Trump would hurt us, even though Donald Trump told us on the campaign trail that he was going to raise tariffs, even though Project 2025 explicitly lays out the tariff plan and the plan to bankrupt soybean farmers all across America so that they can buy their land for cheap. Oh, yeah. And Vice President J.D. Vance owns part of an app to help buy up the bankrupt land. Come on. Get real. You were either willfully ignorant, dumb, or both, America's soybean farmers. What I don't hear is contrition. I don't hear the man who was on MSNBC this morning, Scott Brown from Arkansas, soybean farmer, who's going to lose it all. I didn't hear him say, I made a mistake. I didn't hear him say, really, I knew, but I just thought it would turn out different because. He didn't say, I'm going to do something different now. He didn't say, I'm going to vote against Trump. He didn't say he was even going to start voting in his own self-interest. He's just begging for a bailout because that's what we've been doing for 100 plus years in America is bailing out our farmers. They don't deserve it. They don't need it. They can live with their decision. They can also come to the right side and they can admit that they made a mistake and they can admit that racism is expensive and they can admit that they're not going to be racist and bigots anymore, and that they're going to put not just their self-interest, but everybody's self-interest ahead of Donald Trump's and MAGA's and Heritage Foundation's. But can they do it? Will they do it? Because the rest of us are waiting for them. We are here, open and willing for them to take the right step and to show their humanity. No fear, only love.
So let me get this straight. Farmers all over America are now coming to the realization that USAID was valuable and that immigrant labor was important and that government subsidies are kind of critical and that global warming and droughts and everything else are real. Who knew?
What are you going to do with your surplus of soybeans when the American government begs everyone to purchase them? I'm just curious. You're going to make your own tofu? Are we going to be seeing videos of homesteaders making tofu from scratch? Like, this is what I want to know. Because if you can't sell it outside of the country, you got to sell it inside the country. Which means there's a surplus, which theoretically means prices should go down. So, either that or they're just going to let it all rot. Just so that they can keep charging you at the same prices. And again, that seems like it's the farmer's fault, right?
Hey there. Remember all those rallies where folks in red hats yelled about America first? Promising tariffs would crush the competition and bring prosperity raining down? Like, we'll show China who's boss while ignoring how interconnected everything is? Fast forward to 2025 and it's crickets, or rather, silos full of unsold crops and empty bank accounts. These proud, self-reliant types who bashed handouts are now lining up for bailouts, hats in hand. Meet the MAGA farmer, tough as nails until the market bites back. They backed a guy who called government the enemy, then flip when their choices tank the farm. Farming's brutal, no doubt, but cheering policies that gut your buyers, hike costs, and deport your help. Don't feign shock when it hurts. This ain't bad luck. It's basic cause and effect. Today, we're diving into the fallout. Welcome to Mind Mirror. Let's break it down.
Well, in today's episode of F Around and Find Out MAGA edition, cattle ranchers in the state of Nebraska who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump fear the impact on their businesses when Donald Trump implements his mass deportation program that he campaigned on for almost 2 years, that they voted for. And now they're realizing that if he actually implements it, they'll go bankrupt. He told you for almost 2 years that he was going to deport 20 million.
I didn't know anything about Trump's policies. I just voted for him. Nah, MAGA, you can't get away with that with me, right? Because you were too loud before the election about how it was going to make the country better. So when you hear MAGA say things like that, you know what that is? That's somebody that's a coward. They're afraid to stand up and align themselves visually, right? For everybody to know with all the crappy shit you see happening right now, they know it doesn't look good, but they don't have the backbone to still align themselves with it. So now it becomes, I didn't know no better. You knew enough to be loud about it before the election, so I know enough about it to keep calling you out on it now. Stop making these people feel comfortable. The problem is people like MAGA folk who go all in on stuff like that, and then when it gets really, really bad, they want to act like, well, I didn't know any better. You're not a child. You're a grown-ass adult. You're not a child. So I'm not going to treat you like one. And what do conservatives always talk about? Personal responsibility. And that's what I expect you to have too. But I'm not going to let any MAGA get away with, I didn't know. Well, you should have known, or you should have stayed your ass at home.
Look, these MAGA folks screaming about making things better pre-election, then claiming ignorance now, that's peak avoidance. You were loud then, own it now. It's like betting your house on a horse you didn't vet, then crying foul when it loses. Personal responsibility. That's what they preach, right? Apply it here. If you're an adult, research matters. Blind loyalty doesn't pay bills. To anyone watching, whether man or woman, before voting, dig into policies affecting your job, family, community. Don't chase slogans, chase facts. It saves regret. I agree with the speaker. Stop coddling them. Treat adults as such. If you backed chaos, navigate it without excuses. Practical tip. Join local policy forums or read nonpartisan analyses next time. Builds real accountability.
This is Mr. Trump, Mr. President. Help us out. It's been almost 6 months and you still ain't bringing gas prices down, Trump. Why? Why ain't you drilling? Drill, baby, drill. You know, it's $3 a gallon. Yeah, gas is $3 a gallon, yes. Mr. Trump.
Begging to bring gas prices down. MAGA begging for farm bailouts. And he's wearing his MAGA hat. It's been 8 months. Name one thing that he has done for American people, any American, black, white, yellow, green, black, brown. Name one thing that he has done for America, for any citizen. There is nothing.
This guy's begging for lower gas while wearing the hat? Classic. Voted for drill, baby, drill. But months in, prices hold steady. It's like ordering spicy food, then complaining it's hot. MAGA promised quick wins, but reality's slower. Nothing for everyday Americans. Black, white, anyone. Lessons hit hard when hunger sets in. Advice for men out there. If you're in trades or farming, track how policies impact supply chains. Don't vote on vibes. Look at track records. Women in similar spots, same deal. Protect your household by staying informed. Speaker's spot on. Life's about learning fast. Pray you avoid these pitfalls. If starving but still loyal, rethink priorities. Start with voter education apps or community groups for real change.
I bet you this guy voted for him 3 times. I bet you he would tell you after starving that he would vote for them again. Life is about lessons and how quickly you learn them. And I pray I never have to learn lessons like this.
Imagine being a teacher or a principal in a school in a red state which depends on funding, federal funding from the Department of Education, and still voting for Donald Trump. What am I talking about? Watch.
CNN analysis found the 15 states that most rely on federal funding for its public schools in 2022 all voted for Trump.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I voted for President Trump to make America first again. If we have
You fell for a slogan.
cuts, then that's going to mean bigger classroom sizes. I would lose teachers, first and foremost. It's devastating.
I don't think that anyone in our county wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump.
Educators in red states voting to gut their own funding? Mind-blowing. Dependent on federal cash, yet back a guy vowing to axe the Department of Education. Fell for America First without checking the fine print. It's like signing a lease without reading it, then shocked at eviction. Bigger classes, lost teachers, devastating, as she says. To women educators, advocate for stable funding, join unions or lobby groups. Men in the field push for practical reforms over rhetoric. I back the speaker. These states lag in education for a reason. No research, just slogans. Bootstrap up now. Tip. Use sites like Ballotpedia for policy breakdowns. Own your choices. It empowers everyone.
We all know and understand that red states, the education is abysmal. That they are always on the bottom of the docket when it comes to test scores, reading levels. They are horrible. And here we have two educators that know that their states, their schools depend on federal funding, depend on them. Yet they didn't bother to do the basic research of what their candidate was going to do. They fell for a slogan. Instead of listening to all the times Trump said he was going to get rid of the Department of Education, that he was going to go after LGBTQ people, that he was going to get rid of DEI, that he was going to do all of these things, and looking at the bills that have been happening in red states, instead of actually doing the minimal bit of research, they fell for a slogan and thought, well, I never thought that this would happen. So I guess these red states are just going to have to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, right? Because they voted for this, and now they're getting what they voted for. All my love.
Well, the Democrats were right again, and it turns out the farmers of Iowa are completely shit out of luck, specifically because they voted for Trump, okay? Because his policies have double fucked them, okay? Starting with USAID. Now, you might say, why would USAID be connected to the farmers of Iowa? Well, turns out that USAID was one of their most reliable customers. We were spending up to $2 billion every year buying soybeans from them and then shipping them overseas to feed poor, starving children. Until our Christian president got in office and he said, "What? We are sending food overseas to feed hungry children? For Christ's sake, shut that down immediately." Well, in doing that, they have now taken away the second largest, most reliable customer for these soybean farmers in Iowa. Now, who was their number one customer? Well, it used to be China. And up until recently, they were buying 60% of our soybean exports out of America. But Daddy Trump came in and jacked up these tariffs, started a trade war with China, and now these soybean farmers have lost their number one customer. So now these soy boys are sitting on a Scrooge McDuck level of soybeans with absolutely nobody to sell them to. And that is why they are begging Daddy Trump for a bailout and for him to cut this shit with China so we can get rid of these tariffs. You know, it's amazing. Trump supporters put him in office hoping that he would just ruin the lives of all the people who they hated. But they didn't realize that Trump isn't on their team. He's on Team Billionaire, not on Team Farmer or Team Trucker or Team Everyday American. He only cares about rich people.
Farmers lose USAID as a buyer. $2 billion in soybeans gone. Then China ditches us over tariffs. Sitting on piles of unsold crops, begging for bailouts. Hope to ruin others, but Trump's Team Billionaire all along. It's like joining a club that excludes you once in. Trade wars backfire, Brazil wins. To men in age, diversify markets early. Explore co-ops for stability. Women managing farms, same, build buffers against policy shifts. Agree with speaker, Trump's not on Team Farmer. Lesson, vote for broad prosperity. Tip, Track trade news via USDA reports. Avoid team vibes. Focus on economics.
Anyway, happy Sunday, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. Football is back. Hell yeah, very exciting for all of us who are still able to watch it, despite the fact that there are male cheerleaders now. Oh. Anyway, guys, I love you. I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon.
The nerve of these people, it's absolutely repulsive. Let me tell you something about the farmers. I don't care. I don't care. I hope your farm goes under. I hope a big corporation buys it. And then I hope you have to work that farm on pennies on the dollar. Because there are people who are really suffering today, who got thrown off of some social programs and are going to get thrown off for social programs for the next 2 years because of what you voted for.
No sympathy for these farmers. Hope big core buy them out, work them cheap, while others lose social programs from their votes. Hospitals closing, real suffering, like torching the village then whining about ashes. Voted against aid for all, now want theirs. Advice. For anyone rural, man or woman, prioritize community-wide policies. Don't isolate. Speaker's raw truth resonates. Others suffer more. Practical. Boycott red state products if aligned, but push for systemic fixes like fair subsidies. Mock the flip. No handouts until it's your turn.
There's going to be hospitals that are going to be closing. You know, I'm contributing to the problem myself. When I go to the store, I turn my milk around. I buy Maple Hill. It's from Kinderhook, New York. I'm not buying milk from anywhere else. My dairy, Cabot, Vermont. My cheeses, my sour cream, my butter, Cabot. My eggs come from California. I never checked on where my products came from. I cared about quality. I cared about price. Now I'm checking. And I'm only buying it from the states that matter. Because Arkansas, Nebraska, you don't matter. You don't matter. You're not special. You wanted to vote for this? You wanted to fuck around? Here you are finding out. Because you all bitched when Joe Biden wanted to help millions of people on student loans. And they would have gotten jobs in the United States, paid taxes in the United States, spent that money in the United States economy. But no. Nope. That was government waste. And now you're asking for handouts? To save your family farm? Fuck you. You don't matter. You're not special. You're not special at all. Okay? My sympathy is elsewhere. My sympathy is for people who need some of these programs, who are getting thrown off of some of these programs.
Boycotting red state dairy, eggs, buying from blue areas. No more blind shopping, now intentional against those who bitched about student loan relief but want farm handouts. It's selective outrage. Waste for others, essential for them. Deep hypocrisy. To women shoppers, use apps like Boycott to align purchases with values. Men, same, make spending count. Support the speaker. Sympathy for program losers, not these. Tip, read up on votes versus interests via ProPublica. Fruitful. Build local economies that don't rely on federal whims.
Pick up a book and learn how you just voted against your own interest. And if you still don't get it, you still don't understand, the rest of us are not going to hold your hand. We're not going to wait for you. Okay? Figure it the fuck out. Because you caused other people to really suffer. And then you got the balls to put your hand out and ask for a handout to save your farm. Your hatred is so deep that you supported shutting down USAID. That stimulated the U.S. farming economy while also feeding people who were starving. Oh yeah, but now I have to care that you're going to lose your family farm? Here.
Hatred led to backing USAID shutdown, boosted economy and fed the hungry. Now farms tank, but expect care? No. Like cutting your nose to spite your face, then begging for a bandage. Advice for men in farming. Weigh global impacts. Support aid that sustains markets. Women, advocate for ethical policies. Speaker's right. Own the consequences. Practical. Join farm alliances pushing sustainable trade. Mock lightly. Christian values until it costs soybeans.
I've been thinking about all of these farmers in Arkansas who are finding out that their votes matter. Your prayers don't. Jesus has got to be so confused because a few months ago they were praying, to protect Donald Trump and to make sure that he was elected president. And now they are praying to Jesus that Donald Trump changes his mind and gives them a bailout. Like, Donald Trump showed up in the middle of your fucking farms and told you exactly what he was going to do. I'm going to deport everybody in this country. And that didn't make your alarms go off to think, wait a second, I have a bunch of illegal immigrants who are working my farms. This would not be good business for me. Maybe I should vote for somebody else. No, I'll vote for Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump sat there and said, I'm going to cut foreign aid to any foreign country. And you guys thought he was only talking about Ukraine. You guys are a bunch of fucking assholes. No, he was talking about everybody. He cut the whole department. That was your number one customer. And then your number two customer is China, that he decided to put tariffs on. So now China told us all to fuck off, and they're buying their soybeans elsewhere. I'll be darned. You guys just got what you asked for. Fuck. The only way you can undo this is to join our chorus once and for all, us liberals, who told you all along that this was going to fuck everything up for everybody. You guys are just the first few to start finding out. We're all going to get screwed here. So anyway, the solution here is for you guys to speak the fuck up and go tell your elected representatives that if they don't grow a backbone quick and start standing up to Donald Trump and undoing this bullshit, you're not going to reelect them. And then it doesn't matter who's gerrymandering, because if enough people get fucked by the Trump administration, then you guys are going to have to start voting for the alternative to your Republicans. That means you got to start voting for Democrats. And there's so many people in this country who would rather vote against themselves than vote for a fucking Democrat. Introducing farmers in Arkansas. You guys just voted against yourselves.
Prayers for Trump win, now for bailouts. Ignored warnings on deportations hitting labor. Aid cuts gutting buyers. Tariffs on China. Trump told him directly, no alarms, got what asked for. Join liberals to fix it. Speak up, vote Dem if needed. To all, man or woman, if policies hit home, pressure reps. Don't gerrymander proof. Mobilize. Agree. Votes matter more than prayers. Tip. Use tools like vote.org for engagement. Real solution, cross aisle for economy.
No liberal tears for you guys. Fuck around and you find out. Join the chorus and stand up to this bullshit, and let's bring it to an end. In the meantime, your prayers aren't going to work, but your votes just did. Learn that lesson first.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I need you blue state liberals to stop calling the farmers who voted for their own personal financial ruin stupid. It's infantilizing. They aren't stupid. To actually manage a farm effectively requires insane depths of knowledge in math, science, logistics. These people aren't dumb. But what they are learning, for I think in some cases the first time in their lives, is how expensive racism is. They heard Trump loud and clear when he said that he would deport their labor force and that he would tariff essentially all of the inputs they need to run their facilities. And they absolutely heard him when he claimed over and over again that the US gave too much to the world in aid, and therefore those aid streams, which most often include the food these farmers grow, would be cut. They heard it all. They just didn't believe it. They thought this was just Trump 1.0, and there would be enough adults in the room to say, hey, this is reckless. We can't do this because it will dismantle the economy. Yeah, a lot of farmers were hurt during the first Trump administration. Thanks to his reckless trade wars, particularly with China, a lot of them went bankrupt. And the bailouts that originally happened under Trump's first term didn't mostly even go to these small-scale farmers. It ended up going to big agribusiness. And I have a feeling, if past is prologue, we're gonna see that happen again if bailouts happen at all. Because the reality is these people do not actually want to save these small-scale farms. People in this admin, like J.D. Vance, very specifically invested in things like Acre Trader. Their goal is for these farmers to go bankrupt so that they can consolidate, buy up huge swaths of their land, and make a fortune. So I'm not gonna lie to you, there is very little incentive for anybody in this administration to actually give these farmers a bailout, no matter how angry and white and male they are. I doubt there are any farmers listening to this at the moment, but the billionaires do not care about you. They actually just want to take your stuff. So even if a bailout does come, and I doubt an effective one will, but if it does, it is going to be meager enough to keep these people in dire financial straits.
Farmers aren't dumb, smart in math, science, but learning racism's cost. Heard deportation, tariffs, aid cuts, thought adults would stop it. Bailouts went to big ag before. Now, goal is land grab via bankruptcy, like trusting a fox in the henhouse. Billionaires eye their land. Advice. For rural men, diversify investments, avoid single crop reliance. Women build networks for advocacy. Speakers on point. No effective bailouts coming. Practical. Explore acre trader alternatives ethically. Warn. Don't trust adults in room.
Because the goal of a lot of these billionaires and investment firms is to make them desperate enough to sell. So you can say goodbye to small-scale family farms, that's for sure. What's kind of funny about this is that Let's Go Brandon tried to bail you out for real. And that's probably the last time anyone will, so.
American farmers are in the find out stage of FAFO because 78% of them voted for the America First candidate, and yet they're standing there crying because they're going to go bankrupt and lose their generational farm if they don't get a handout because of Trump's policies. And this will further devastate rural communities because when those farmers have to sell their farms to multinational corporations, those corporations will continue to produce commodities, except that the profits from those will go into the coffers of the multinational corporation rather than back into local communities. What did you think was going to happen when Trump made it more expensive to produce things, lowering your profit margins, and also decrease the viability of U.S. exports? Soybeans, for example, are about to get harvested later this month, and yet China, who's been buying about a quarter of all soybeans produced in the United States, has been boycotting American soybeans because of Trump's trade policies. See, U.S. agriculture exports sustain over 1 million farming and non-farming jobs in this country, and let's take our biggest agriculture export, soybeans, which are about to get harvested in a few weeks, as an example. China buys about a quarter of all American soybeans produced, and yet they're boycotting them because of Trump's policies. And we won't be able to reverse the damage done to rural communities by Trump's policies because those farmers won't be able to buy their farms back from multinational corporations, and those export markets are finding new trading partners.
Farmers are finding out what it means to fuck around and find out. And now they're finding out. Okay, here's what's going on, guys. Hundreds and hundreds of Arkansas farmers right now are begging for federal dollars. Now they're begging for federal dollars. Many of those federal dollars will come from states that they hate, like California, who is a donor state, who has to give more money than they take from the federal government. Arkansas is not one of those states. So Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, cannot subsidize its farmers in these tough times. Now, Arkansas farmers had a very difficult year last year. They are having an even more difficult year this year, where many of them, and as many as I've heard estimates as high as a third, if not half, of Arkansas farmers are on the verge of bankruptcies. So without these federal dollars, aka a check being mailed to them, they're going to go bankrupt. Now, it has to do with Donald Trump. Imagine that. It's the tariffs, guys. They are crushing the export market. So countries like China that used to buy rice from Arkansas, so Arkansas produces about half of the nation's rice. They used to export a lot of that to China. Well, now because of the tariff, the rice that these Arkansas farmers are growing is more expensive than what China is able to buy it from Brazil. So why would they buy it from the United States at a higher price when they can get it cheaper from Brazil? They're going to Brazil instead, or Vietnam, or these other countries now. So these Arkansas farmers don't have those markets to export the goods to anymore. So what do you do when you don't have that money coming in? Additionally, the cost of things like the equipment to farm the stuff, the steel, the aluminum, the tariffs have hit those things now. So purchasing equipment is now more expensive. The fertilizer, the chemicals that go into the fertilizer, the cost on that has gone up now. So their inputs cost has gone up to the point where they're going broke. Plain and simple, they're going broke. So what is the solution? The solution is you fucked around and now you're having to find out. You baked a shit sandwich and now you got to eat it and you don't like the way that it tastes. So somebody like myself that's like, well, why would we bail these people out if they voted for Trump? It's almost like I want to be like, okay, look, Farmer John, you didn't vote for Trump. Okay, we'll give you some federal dollars to help you out. You did vote for Trump. You don't get any federal dollars in this situation because what you voted for, you're getting now. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what's your thoughts on it. Am I being heartless in this situation? You know, it's similar to like people that denied COVID and they said that, oh, I'm not getting the vaccine, that they're trying to inject a chip into my arm and, you know, they're 500 pounds and then they get COVID and then next thing you know, they're in a hospital bed having to say goodbye to their loved ones on an iPad because they didn't believe that the vaccine was going to help them and now they're dying and they got to say goodbye. Same situation. Should we have even given him a hospital bed? How about just saying, hey, you voted Trump. You don't even get to come into the hospital. You're out there. You're on your own. Sorry. Let me know if that's cold-hearted. if let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Give your boy a follow.
As you can see, many Trump voters admit that they did not research on Trump policies and they are now facing the consequences of their own actions. This is FAFO moment for them and the regret is really setting in.
To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
Racism, misogyny, and sexism comes with a mighty cost. And it is a cost that farmers all across the state of Arkansas are currently having to pay. Folks, I want to dispel this notion that farmers in Arkansas had no idea the negative impacts that Donald Trump's tariffs could have on them. I think if I had to choose any job group in the United States that would understand tariffs, it would be farmers. They knew full well the impact that this could have on them, but they believed that in return for their vote, there would be carve-outs, there would be bailouts for them by the Trump administration from the negative effects of tariffs. And they've yet to receive that from the Trump administration. So this idea that they didn't see this coming or that farmers are just stupid is a fallacy. They knew full well what they were voting for, but they expected to be exempt. And I think that's the case for a lot of people right now that are being negatively impacted by Donald Trump's policies. And they voted for him because they thought that they would be exempt. Sexism, misogyny, and racism comes with a cost. And it's a cost you better be willing to bear, especially if that's going to be the sole reason you vote for an individual.
So this comment here says, weird they're so unhappy, I'd be stoked to get what I voted for. Kind of like this guy here.
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September's upon us, harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field. Historically, over the last 5 years, about a third of soybean sales to China would be booked.
And the guy in this video, his name is Caleb Ragland. I featured him before, and he's the president of the American Soybean Association, where he not only voted once, twice, but 3 times for the person that's currently occupying the White House. And he's been writing so many letters and making so many pleas to the current resident, with no response to him back so far. And as he stated in that video, for those of you who don't know, China was a huge importer of our soybeans. But because of the current trade issues and tariffs that are going on, China said peace out and is now in partnership with Brazil and is now importing their soybeans from their country. And Caleb himself looks like he's been very stressed about the entire situation. And again, he did vote for this 3 times.
FAFO for 78% who voted Trump. Bankruptcies, lost exports, China to Brazil. Soybeans unsold, markets gone forever, profits to core, not communities. Like planting weeds expecting flowers. New tariffs impact but expected carve-outs. To farmers, men or women, rebuild with new partners, lobby for fair trade. Don't expect exemptions. Support dispelling stupidity myth. They knew, just thought exempt. Tip: use export data from fast.usda.gov. Cost of bias is real. Bear it or change.